I'd like to call to order the September 15th meeting of the Tredyffrin Township Board of Supervisors. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start with announcements. Join us on Saturday, October 4th from 1 to 5 p.m. in Wilson Farm Park for the Township's annual Community Day. The Library Board of Trustees meeting scheduled for December 4th has been rescheduled to November 20th. The Municipal Authority meeting scheduled for October 14th has been rescheduled to September 16th. And in observance of Columbus Day and also Indigenous Peoples Day, Township offices will be closed on Monday, October 13th. Next, we have approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the August 18th meeting?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Any comments on the minutes? Public comments on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel matters. Now we have supervisor liaison reports. Supervisor Gussie.
I do not have a report.
Supervisor Wysocki.
I have two reports. First, Planning Commission met on August 21st and considered two matters. First, the Planning Commission recommended to the Board of Supervisors the application for minor subdivision changes to fix lot line discrepancies affecting 1724 Indian Road and 1750 Indian Road, and that is item 5C on tonight's agenda. Secondly, the Planning Commission then considered a petition requesting that the zoning code the Board of Supervisors to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning code to permit age-qualified single-family semi-detached dwellings, that's twins, and single-family attached dwellings, townhomes in the O Office Zoning District, subject to various requirements. The applicant has also submitted an associated illustration of the potential development of 46 age-qualified units on the property located at 674 East Sweetsford Road in Wayne. And that is for discussion only tonight, and item 5K on the agenda. The PC by the Planning Commission moved the zoning change application to the Board of Supervisors for consideration. I also have a Historical Commission report. They met on September 11th, and here are some of the highlights from that meeting. First, they continue to examine the historic resource, our ordinance, moving towards an amendment. They're working with a consultant, and they're also working on what outreach will be done as the resource ordinance progresses. Secondly, they're working on the America's 250th birthday in 2026. There will be what's called Dare to Declare. That's readings of the Declaration of Independence at different prominent locations in the township throughout the year, and that's in conjunction with Chester County, who is running that program throughout the county. Secondly, a second event will be a reenactment of a British encampment in Tredyffrin Township set for the weekend of September 26th. Of course, that was a British encampment during the Revolutionary War, actually here in our glorious township. And we'll have reenactors, and it will not be for the entire month. It'll be for a weekend in September 2026. And they are working on that event. Lastly, of highlights, Jenkins Arboretum Creek naming. Jenkins Arboretum, there's a creek that flows through Jenkins Arboretum. The Arboretum is working on having that, would like to see us work on having that creek named. And this has been done, I don't know in how many other townships, but we do know it's been done in Schuylkill Township because because someone from Schuylkill came and spoke to the historical commission that evening. This is a little outside strictly historical. The historical commission would work with the EAC on this, and they're doing some analysis and some research. And I asked a silly, not a silly question, because you assume that creeks go unnamed for a period of time, a long period of time, because you wonder maybe they shouldn't be named. And someone said, or this person from Schuylkill said, because it's been proven that creeks that are named are better cared for and better respected by the public. So will be another initiative that they're looking at doing, the historical commission, and they'd be working with the EAC on that. So that's my report on the historical commission. The next HC meeting is October 9th. So, and I forgot to mention the next PC meeting, that's on September 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Wysocki. Supervisor Bhaskar.
So I'll start with the EAC. The Environmental Advisory Council met on Tuesday, August 26th, and these are some of the highlights. So there was a planned work day, September 6th, at Wilson Farm Park. There was a discussion of possible solutions to weed whacking around the trees, which is apparently damaging the trees in some of the parks. One of the issues we have is invasive Japanese knotweed. That's still a problem at Maisie Hall Park and will need to be treated again this year, but it is better than last year. And the Valley Creek Restoration Partnership wants to get a baseline snapshot on salt levels, and that'll probably happen on October 4th. And the Jenkins Arboretum is hosting a talk on salt on December 18th. The next meeting of the EAC is scheduled for next week, Tuesday, September 23rd. Now, moving on to the Library Board of Trustees, I would like to make a motion to appoint Reverend Kevin Delaria as a Willistown representative to the Library Board of Trustees.
I'll second it.
So basically the comments I have, in case anyone has any questions about it, is that with the Library Board of Trustees, Willistown donates some money to, they don't have their own library, they donate some money to the Tredyffrin Public Library, and in return they get to nominate 2 members of the board, and these members of the board, the process they go through the Library Board of Trustees, and then the Library Board of Trustees sends a nomination on to the Willistown Board of Supervisors, and here the Willistown Board of Supervisors has approved Reverend Delaria, and so because it's the Tredyffrin Public Library, we need to approve that, but it's largely a formality because he has been approved by the Willistown Board of Supervisors, and they get to appoint 2 members of the board. So those are the comments I had.
No, thank you. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
And then moving on to the Library Board of Trustees meeting on Thursday, August 28th. And again, I just try to find the highlights that people might find interesting. The detailed minutes will be on the website. And the trustees voted to advance the position of Reverend Delaria to the Willistown supervisors. The Friends of Tredyffrin Public Library reported that Amazon sales of donated books was dropping, and it's maybe about 2/3 that of previous years. And they're looking at ways to do better, and perhaps Amazon has a service where they will help price the books, so they plan to do that. The next book donation day is September 27th, and they could use some more fiction and children's book donations. And then there are ad hoc policy committees that are working on updating policies, so they have a draft policy for behavior and they have a policy for food and drink. There is a photography policy which awaits clarification from the township solicitor. And the library director provided a plan to the, so basically one of the requirements of a library is that they must spend at least 12% of their budget on materials. And the way that 12% is calculated is as clear as ditch water. Well, I'm sure it's in a spreadsheet somewhere and there's a lot of, formulae. So she presented, we've fallen short of it. So she's presented a plan to the System Advisory Council. They've approved the plan, and now it's up to the library to execute that plan. The next meeting of the Library Board of Trustees is next week, Thursday, September 25th, at the Stratford Library. And thank you, Chair Miller.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. Supervisor Johnston Pugh?
Good evening. Yes, I have one statement in reference to the Art Commission. The Art Commission committee received 31 submissions from 20 artists for the first art exhibition at the Township Building. The artists range from age 16 to 93, and they would like to invite everyone to join them at the opening reception for this exhibition on Friday, October the 10th at the Township Building from 5 to 7 p.m. The Art Commission will also be a presence at the upcoming Community Day, including haikus and origamis. Planning is already underway for the winter show of the black and white photography from high school students who are representatives at Tredyffrin Township. So again, on October the 10th from 5 to 7, all the pictures that have been submitted in from 20 artists will go on exhibition. And we would like for everyone to possibly please come, even if you just come for, a minute or two, just to see all the different artwork that we are now trying to put via the art committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Johnston Pugh. That concludes our supervisor liaison reports. Now I have a motion to approve the 2025/2026 SALT bids. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is requesting board approval to accept the SALT bids for the 25-26 season through the Chester County Consortium. The lowest bid this year was Chemical Equipment Labs of $71.17 a ton, which was 97 cents more than it was last year. The highest price this year was $88 a ton. I've included the bid tab sheet with this and would request your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve application for minor subdivision at 1724 and 1750 Indian Run Road. Ms. McPherson.
Thank you, Chairman Miller, members of the board. Yeah, the township received an application for minor lot line change between 1724 and 1750 Indian Run Road. The lot line was modified. A majority of the existing driveway for 1750 was actually on 1725's property. So they looked to make the modifications to that lot line and then also the west to kind of compensate for that lost area, to compensate on the western property line as well. The plan was reviewed by Chester County Planning Commission as well as our Planning Commission. There was two waivers granted by the Planning Commission because of the existing nature. They're not proposing any development and just modifying the lot line. So I request your approval of the lot line change.
Thank you, Ms. McPherson. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Resident comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to acknowledge the PADEP CCCD required recordation of a declaration of covenants and restrictions document, a stormwater O&M agreement for the Willis Woodcrest Upper Weedley Stormwater Project. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, this document was reviewed by the township staff and solicitor. We had it signed by the township manager. It's a requirement of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection now, when you get an NPDES permit, that you record this. And although they call it what they call it, it's basically a stormwater operation and maintenance agreement. Basically, the township owns the property. We've already approved that project. We're installing the stormwater measures with that. They want to basically include it in there as we have a stormwater operation and maintenance plan, and we have the actual plans that are, being constructed by our contractor. So it's just something that will get recorded at the county, just like we do for other permit projects, and it puts the township as the responsible entity in the future for the operation and maintenance and any repairs of those systems.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a proposal from Brown and Caldwell for additional services associated with the Woodcrest Willis Upper Wheatley Stormwater Project. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is requesting board approval for additional inspection and design fees for the relocation of a sanitary sewer main for the Upper Wheatley Stormwater Project. Due to the sanitary line conflicting with the proposed new stormwater line, we needed to design a relocation. The additional fees for the design and inspection for the relocation are from our sanitary sewer engineer, Brown and Caldwell, at a fee of $35,245, and it'll be taken from the sanitary sewer fund.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a release request number 1 for Delaware Valley Friends School Phase 1B in the amount of $1,141,022.59. The balance remaining $50,647.75. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, this release request number 1 for Delaware Valley Friends School Phase 1B. The work was substantially completed over the summer. They put a large underground stormwater system, and they redid their parking lot in the back of the school up against the tracks at the end of that roadway there. Everything has been inspected by the township and our township consultant, Princeton Hydro, and we are recommending release of that amount. We do have a small amount remaining just for some small items that they have to complete before they're finished.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Here's a second. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have the conditional use decision for the Islamic Society of the Greater Valley Forge, hearing held July 21st and August 18th. Anyone was here, we had 2 pieces to that hearing, and now we're going to render the decision. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As noted, the record was closed in this matter last month at the regular board meeting, or prior to the regular board meeting on August 18th. At that time, we announced that the board would render its decision this evening. The board is prepared to do so and has asked me to make the following motion, which is upon consideration of the conditional use application of the applicant, Islamic Society of Greater Valley Forge, on behalf of the North American Islamic Trust, pursuant to Section 208-45C of the zoning ordinance for conditional use approval to permit a mosque or similar place of worship for the properties located at 958 and 966 North Valley Road, that the relief is granted subject to the following conditions. As represented by the applicant, stormwater management facilities shall be designed to exceed the requirements of the Tredyffrin Township Stormwater Management Ordinance to the satisfaction of the township engineer during land development. The applicant shall comply with all Tredyffrin Township lighting ordinances and regulations. Number 3, the applicant shall not rent the gymnasium to outside agencies. Number 4, as agreed to by the applicant, a buffer area on the properties shall be installed along the lot line shared with the PICO property. Number 5, during the land development process, the potential traffic impacts associated with the proposed development shall be thoroughly evaluated, including the implementation of appropriate traffic mitigation and calming measures. Number 6, the applicant in the use of the development of the properties shall comply with the representations and commitments made in the testimony and exhibits presented at the hearing and submitted to the board. And number 7, the applicant in the use and development of the property shall comply in all respects with all ordinances and regulations of the township, with all applicable provisions of any statute, ordinance, or regulation of any municipal or governmental entity having jurisdiction over the property or the uses thereon. That was the motion I was asked to make on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Aye.
Supervisor Wysocki.
Aye.
Supervisor Bhaskar.
Aye.
Supervisor Carlotta Johnson. Pugh.
Aye.
Aye. And I vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Motion to approve the 2026 minimum municipal obligations for police and non-uniform pensions. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you know, in September, we were required under Act 205 of 1984 to adopt our minimal municipal obligation for our non-uniform and police pension plan. This is calculated based on the work put together by the Pennsylvania Retirement System and our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Duraco. That need to be adopted, and that money is paid by December 31st of 2026 and will be budgeted as we move into the new year. So this is a standard thing we do every year. Happy to answer any questions.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? Actually, do you want to tell us how much it is, just so the public knows?
Sure. So for the non-uniform, estimated for 2006 is $500,006. Total minimal obligation for for the police is $1,588,945. We do have a pension aid number. That total minimal municipal obligation is $2,095,951. And we have less our estimated pension aid, which we should receive from the state in 2026, or our net pension cost will be $1,145,951.
Thank you, Mr. Wharton. Just so everyone knows what the magnitude of what we're talking about here. Thank you. Any other board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize staff to advertise an accounting services RFP and
Skip the red light one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Red light,
Motion to, thank you very much. Thank you to approve emergency replacement of red light foundations. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is requesting the approval for the replacement of and repair of 2 red light foundations and poles. During our yearly audit that Higgins Electric does, they found 2 foundations that need to be replaced. The first one at Bear Hill and East Central, and the second at Lancaster and Grove. Following the cost and repairs after meeting a PennDOT traffic engineer at these locations. The first location, Bear Hill at East Central, will need a new foundation and then move the pole approximately 3 feet using the current hardware with a cost of $18,298. The second location, Lancaster and Grove, will require a new foundation and pole. The current pole will have the top arm removed to eliminate the fall risk, but will still have the control box and the hardware for the traffic traveling southbound on Old Lancaster Road. The new foundation pole and arm will have all the hardware for the eastbound Lancaster mounted on it. The cost for this intersection is $58,798. Total cost, $77,096 from Higgins Electric, who's our red light contractor, and these types of repairs were included in the 2025 budget. Happy to answer any
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
All right, I do a motion in a second. Yeah, thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now it's a motion to authorize staff to advertise an accounting services RFP and authorizing the township manager to engage the services with the approval of the Finance Committee prior to October 6th if necessary. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you tonight is an RFP for accounting services. For a little background, we've been without a staff accountant since April, and due to some transition in the finance department that's upcoming, we want to make sure we get the proper accounting services during a transition. So this will help bolster the finance department and get us through the end of the year, and then we'll go from there. So this is a professional service, and it would make sense to have the finance committee review it prior to any authorization, but we should be able to do that, and hopefully we'll get some good applicants.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second, thank you. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? I just want to emphasize the point Mr. Martin is making, that this is a resource need that we really have. I mean, we've been struggling in our finance department for a while, and with budget season coming up, we really need to add some additional staffing to support this, to support what happens in the township building. So I'm very supportive. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we have a discussion on a zoning, and this is just a discussion, there's no vote here. Just a discussion on a zoning amendment petition to permit age-qualified single-family semi-detached dwellings, or twins, and single-family attached dwellings, townhouses, in the office zoning district under the TCD overlay district. Ms. McPherson, and then Mr. McKenna, and then obviously these gentlemen.
Thank you, Chairman Miller, members of the board. Yes, we received a zoning amendment petition. The applicant is here tonight. Basically, exactly what you described. It's age-qualified singles and, towns and twins. This is for the Wayne Glen property. I'm sure the applicant will give you a little bit more information on the proposal.
Thank you, Ms. McPherson.
My name is Craig Lingo. I'm the owner of Rockwell Swedesford LLC. We are the equitable owner to the property that's at 675 Swedesford Road. And we, do you have the? So there's the location. Essentially at the corner of Old Eagle School Road and Swedesford Road in front of Wayne Glen, kind of catty corner to the Lifetime Fitness. This illustrates, this is a rendering of the active adult townhomes. We are proposing that in the office district, there would be, under some circumstances, it be allowed that active adult 55 plus age restricted homes can in some cases be permitted in the office district. Our attorney here, George Brosman, will elaborate on the zoning a little bit further. These are these are photos of similar homes that we built at the Ventry community, which was the old Edgemont Country Club on Westchester Pike. And this is consistent with the same size footprints that we're proposing for this parcel. We're at the corner of Swedesford Road and Old Eagle School Road.
Oh, and Old Eagle?
Correct. This is the current zoning for the property. I believe the property was originally approved for office. Do you have the comprehensive plan? No problem. We feel that this, and we'll have George talk a little bit more about the zoning, but we feel that this use is in agreement with some notes from the comprehensive plan. There's verbiage that's providing for a more diverse housing. There's going to be an aging population over 55 plus, particularly over the next 10 years. So we feel like this answers that need there. Also in the comprehensive plan, there's verbiage about more pedestrian pathways, adding stormwater systems to various parcels. This property currently does not have any stormwater management on it. We've spent the last approximately year meeting with neighbors, and we think it's great that Tredyffrin has the approach where periodically on Thursdays, ideas can kind of be bounced back and forth, and that's been really helpful in making this plan, we feel like, better. What we're proposing to the neighbors at Wayne Glen is that we would combine homeowners associations, help contribute towards some of the stormwater management fees that they have. We're also okay for this to not be part of their homeowners association, but we are allowing those residents for no charge to use the amenity center that we're going to be providing in this building. And that's going to be a community center. It'll have some recreation as well as meeting spaces. George, you want to talk on that?
I'm George Brosman. I'm the attorney that's been helping Greg on this project. We proposed the zoning text amendment. Initially, we had proposed changes to the Trout Creek Overlay District, which this property is in. When we went to the Planning Commission meeting last month, they were very supportive of this use on this property, and I think they were very supportive of the idea to provide age-qualified housing throughout the township, but they asked us to work with the staff to see if there was a better approach to the text amendment, and we did work with staff. And getting their feedback, we have an amendment that we've submitted that would modify the office district. The Trout Creek Overlay District would remain unchanged. And what we did was, following the comprehensive plan that Greg mentioned, the comprehensive plan does say that this type of housing is needed and that the township should work to allow for more of this type of housing, and that it should be added to zones that don't allow it. So that's exactly what this amendment would do in the office district. If it were to be adopted at a future time, we're just here for discussion. You could have these age-qualified twins or townhomes in the office district, but it would have to be on a parcel of at least 5 acres. It would have to be adjacent to or across the street from parcels that are already residentially zoned and used for residential purposes. The thought there being that it's a good transitional use. This type of housing is a good transition. If you're in an office district, but you're already next to a residentially zoned parcel, a parcel that's already used residential, for residential purposes, this would be a good transitional use. In fact, the office district allows for many uses that might not be appropriate next to residential. For example, warehousing, things like that, which I understand have been a possibility for this site. And as you could see in the one slide that Greg had, there is a plan approved for this site for a very, very large office building with a very large surface parking area and a parking garage. What this slide shows, I know the township is always concerned when they consider an amendment, what other parcels might this affect? One of the planners at the township put this together. The 3 parcels, let me do it this way. The 2 parcels furthest to the right and on the top are in the Glen Hardy area. Then our parcel is the middle parcel of the 3 parcels to the left. And next to this parcel, or it's not the middle parcel, it's the end parcel. That's the corner of Old Eagle and Swedesford. The next 2 parcels are the Bay Colony office complex. The parcels across are on Swedesford Road. There's residential across the street from those parcels. And then I believe the other 2 parcels to the west are 2 parcels that have office buildings on them. I believe they are on Lee Road in Chesterbrook. As you come into Wilson Farm Park, they're right next to the an existing townhouse community, Cheswold Court. Doesn't mean to say that anybody would ever do these projects, but if the ordinance was adopted as we're proposing, these other parcels might be eligible to do that. So we think it's a good amendment, consistent with the comprehensive plan. It will meet the goals of providing for more this type of housing, this type of age-restricted housing, so there'd be no impact on the school district. It would be a positive fiscal item, provide housing that is needed in good locations for it. I think it will also help ameliorate the issues that the township and the region is seeing with probably too much office space. And this allows another option for some of these parcels. Thank you.
Oh, Howard. Can they see me?
Carla, do you have a question?
I do. I'm sorry, I'm still not good at this. I do have a question. How many houses, many houses, townhouses or the other are you trying to put in this space? What is the minimum and what is the maximum amount that you would be trying to put in this space?
We're proposing 46 units for this property.
46 as a total?
46 total, correct.
Okay. And how many of them are going to be twins and how many of them will be townhouses?
We're still working on the configuration. We want to make sure that we have good circulation within the community for fire and EMS. And so we don't have that number exactly nailed down yet.
Okay, and this is going to be, as you said, 55 and over.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody in the audience asked how big the parcel is. The minimum in the ordinance is 5 acres. This parcel has a gross acreage of about 10 acres. So the density we think is in line and in fact less than what you would see in some of the other districts for twins and townhomes. I was taking a look at the R4 district where those are allowed, and I believe this is a lower density than would be allowed for this housing type in the R4 district.
I just had a small concern, which is that I'm trying to visualize, elderly people living on Sweetsford Road and trying to walk across Sweetsford Road. And I'm not sure how effective or safe that would be, but that is one concern that I have about this location for senior living. Sorry, I should say age-qualified living.
I mean, there's a light at the corner there. There's a light there right now. Yeah, so that would just help, for sure. And that was one of the things, we talked about this, and we thought the light was at least doesn't reduce that risk a little bit. Yeah, good. Any other board comments? And obviously the public is all, yeah, sure, come on up.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Les Bear, and I serve as the president of the HOA at Wayne Glen, the neighborhood adjacent to this parcel. As it may surprise you, we support this idea. Normally, we take a critical look at something like this, and we have heard over the last couple of years ideas such as a truck terminal for this site, a grocery store, a convenience store, a strip retail center. Those are all ideas that were bounced in front of our board, and of course, we were not thrilled by any of those ideas because of the additional parking, the additional traffic to this community, to this area. That intersection of Sweetsford and Old Eagle is a very busy intersection, as it is now. This idea, I think, softens that. I think we're looking at 46 potential additional dwellings, and the potential additional traffic would be minimal to that intersection and to the area. We have a right-of-way with this property owner to allow the traffic to exit the exit that we have at Wayne Glen currently. There's no red light there. And there's some ideas that we have for maybe improving that intersection and allowing a better flow of traffic and a safer exit. That is a school bus stop for us. We're concerned about that. And there are some ideas that really need to be implemented to make that a little safer location. But we have met with the Rockwell Group numerous times. He has welcomed our ideas and has been receptive in incorporating some of those ideas into the rendering that you've seen. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the township suggesting that he meet with us. And I think that fosters a really good relationship. And we are excited about the potential of maybe joining together as one HOA. I think that makes a lot of sense. As you well know, we're responsible for a regional basin and a dam financially, and we would certainly appreciate some assistance with that. And I think this is an excellent way for that to happen. The design is for a lot of underground stormwater retention and some surface retention as well. And I think that reduces the amount of additional stormwater that would enter the basin. That's not our goal, to have additional water going into that area. We remember vividly in 2021 when that was pretty full from the storms that we had coming through that area. So I think with the concept and the proposals that Rockwell has proposed, we minimize that impact. So again, we're supportive to the idea, and we certainly welcome any thoughts and comments that you would have to that.
Thank you.
My name's Chris Corvea. I'm not actually here for this specific thing, but I think the only thing that alarms me a little bit about it is that it's age qualified. I think we have a housing crisis in America on both sides, and I get nervous when we see age qualified in an area like we live in, where there are not really any entry-level homes for people. I currently own a home in Tredyffrin Township, and I've been looking to get, it's a twin, looking to get into a single-family home, and you cannot do that for less than like $750,000. So when I think about housing in our area, the one thing that resonates with me is whether it does impact the school district or not, making sure we have affordable housing for people to move into our area. I grew up here, I've lived here, I was born in Berwyn. And so when I see proposals like this, that's the only thing that makes me nervous. Not that I would be against it, but like that would be the one thing I would ask the board to consider is I think we need more affordable entry-level living homes in our community as well, which we don't have a ton of, in my perspective. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Other public comments?
Ray Clark from the township. Just to support what the previous speaker said, the good thing about the other change that you just approved in converting an apartment office building to apartments is that it was designed for more entry-level residents. And I think that if there is some way to accommodate a range of income levels, I think that would be a good thing. It would make the township more attractive place, and we certainly need to encourage people beginning on the beginning of the ladder. So that's one thing to say there. I mean, clearly when Wayne Glen was approved, the whole deal was the front part was a commercial building and the back part was a residential in the office district. And I can see why it makes sense now to be more residential. We're just not filling up office buildings. So that's good. I would say that there's a lot of very standard language about what age qualified means and how many 18-year-olds can live in the property for how many days and all that kind of thing. And it would be very good to know, for the public to know, what data there is about how that's all worked out as far as children in the school district. I mean, that's kind of a key concern. Obviously, that goes against the point about entry-level housing, but you know, the whole thing needs to be balanced, I think, and it would be good to have some data on that. And then maybe most important, we're talking about underground stormwater retention, and the whole thing that was always about Wayne Glen was the fact that it sits on all this karst underlying geology, and like putting water underground, the houses are likely to fall right in it. So I would think people would need to be super careful and make sure that our township engineer is all over whatever stormwater design there is. So, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, you had two virtual as well. Do you want to, should I recognize one and then we'll get to Ann?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Coonan, you're up.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I'm on my pocket phone. I'm not sure if I'm coming through. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Good, thank you. First of all, my personal view is that the best use of the property is, of course, to leave it the way it is. There is stormwater management on the property. It's natural, and if natural is the best stormwater management we can find. But given all of the proposals that have been offered, that have been suggested by people who have already spoken, which they all seem to disapprove of. I agree that they are not suitable, and I think this is probably the best use of the property other than leaving it natural. There is a high concern, of course, as Ray Clark mentioned, with stormwater management. The area is karst. We have a road at Glen Hardy, at Trout Creek and Glen Hardy Road that is full of that has be rife with sinkholes. It's something that happens in this area, and it cannot be helped. It does happen. Um, at this point, the project is in its infancy, and we have to keep in mind that all babies are cute, but it's as they grow that we have to be careful and kind of help them understand how things need to be done. I think the Mr. Lingo appears to be very amenable to working with the community, and I think that's absolutely superb. I like that attitude. And the fact that the Wayne Glen Homeowners Association is interested and excited about cooperating with him, I think is a very good idea. Trout Creek would like to, I think, would like to be involved and would like to help develop this property in the most suitable way that it could possibly be done. It's just, I think overall, age appropriate, age targeted housing is a good idea. Uh, some of us are getting older and are wondering how we're going to spend the rest of our lives and where. And it looks like a very reasonable idea. I thank Mr. Lingo for coming forward with the idea and saving us, in effect, from yet another useless office building that will lie vacant for who knows how long under current economic conditions. If Trout Creek Watershed Residents Association can do anything to participate in a positive way with this project, we would like very much to be able to do so. Thanks very much for your time, and we look forward to further information.
Thank you, Mr. Coonan.
Ann Murphy, 5 Berkshire Terrace. I would like maybe the engineer could address the stormwater issue with the karst topography. If you couldn't do the 2-year storm, you might have to do a much lower amount and then design back to what actually, how many units you could support, because maybe the 46 units isn't realistic if you have to use a lot of underground storage as opposed to infiltration. So I'm just wondering if they're looking into the possibility of what the constraints of that is. And the other question I had is, I forget the Trout Creek overlay, didn't it have something in there that required more stormwater than was typically in our ordinance? And I don't remember exactly what that language was, but that's what that were thoughts I had for the engineer for the project, so.
Yeah, thank you. Do we want to respond to that?
Yes.
So,
Go ahead.
I mean, this property was part of the Trout Creek Overlay District. There was a settlement agreement. We will have to work through the conditions of that, as well as Steve, obviously, when we go through the land development, he'll be reviewing the stormwater portions of it. This is strictly for the zoning use portion of it. So.
Yeah, just to be clear to everybody, there will be a land development process that this would go through. So that would, and well, you've been to those meetings, you know what it's like. So there'll be pretty extensive discussions. The design that you put forward could look not radically, but could look different as it goes through that process. So just to understand that the purpose, as Ms. McPherson just said, the purpose for tonight is really to talk about the zoning impacts of this development and really get feedback as to do we think this is a good idea or not, which is what we, as a board, we're trying to hear. So if that makes sense, right?
Mr. Miller, there is one other thing I wanted to just follow up with what Aaron said, which was that this property was subject to specific conditions of the conditional use approval on the commercial side. That obviously that use is changing, but the applicant has committed to complying with those conditions of the conditional use approval. And what George and I have spoken with is sort of parsing out in the decision and actually listing what those items are going to be as the process moves forward to give you an idea of what exactly that's going to require from the applicant as well.
I should have said, I've heard him say he's going to comply, so I've heard that before, so, yeah, thanks.
You have a Supervisor Carlotta has her hands up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to ask one question. In reference to the stormwater and what have you, I'm just thinking, because everyone's saying it kind of floods and all, and maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, but once it's looked at, is it possible, Steve, that how you made it work over at the where you put in and you all were able to make that water run so that it actually, goes and goes and goes and ends up in, I think it was get all the way down to Darby Creek, if I'm not mistaken. Can that same type of idea be looked at in this area? Once we get to that, if we get to that?
Yeah, Carlotta, I had a hard time hearing the actual question. But I think everything you're asking about is something that would be addressed in land development, not in the zoning time.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I was just asking in a head that so that I have an idea in my mind thinking about all of this is I was asking Steve what, because everyone is talking about this water and what have you, and I know it's on a separate entity with the land development, but I'm just asking him so I can get an idea in my head what he did or what they did up on my side at the library and all. Is that something that might be feasible for this property? Is that something that is feasible, or would it be totally, totally different?
Carlotta, I think you're getting at the stormwater we did for Stratford Park, that concept that we did for the parking lot. The applicant here,
Yes.
we haven't reviewed any stormwater at this point because it's still in that early phases of the zoning, but when they come to land development, certainly, yes, we can work with the applicant and their engineering team to evaluate different stormwater, basically stormwater best management practices, things that they'll do to control and manage their stormwater for there in accordance with the ordinances. So that is something, it is something that could be considered. The previous project did actually have porous asphalt included in the old design. So it is something that could be considered for this as well.
Okay, thank you.
And we have another virtual. Carol, you are up.
Hi there, Carol Clark. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for being open to the new opportunities for development. I think this is exciting, and there's a lot of great opportunity that will benefit a lot of folks. But I urge you to be extremely cautious. You know I'm always cautious, but extremely cautious when we're changing zoning, and always search out for the unintended consequences of proposed changes. I also recommend that if we haven't done so, I think we might do a quick review of all the zoning requirements for these new high-density developments. We've had some unfortunate things that have happened in some of the communities that were built over the years. And I think we might want to make sure we get those zoning requirements, and I'll give you examples of them, zoning requirements set to help the developer who seems to be amenable to making adjustments in accordance with the 10-year comprehensive plan and all of our other needs and desires for quality communities in our community. But first of all, I do have two questions. You can answer them at the end of my comments. One is exactly, you had mentioned like 3, but how many properties in Tredyffrin would be impacted by this zoning change? And can the number list be available publicly? You sort of showed those with the pictures, but I wanted to see that again. And also, in the discussion afterwards, could you clarify how that exactly works with the 55 and older? 80%, I understood, had to have someone older than 55, 20% or 9 units would be, and to clarify, that could be people of any age, school-age children and younger families. So adjust those afterwards. Everyone's talking about the karst and the concern for stormwater management. Bravo, I agree with that. Other issues, when first blush, when I looked at the plan, and it might be just from looking at the pictures, but it seemed to be extremely dense, and the roads appeared to be too small to actually support the needs of this community. I know there were a lot of discussions with the Wayne Glen that there needs to be 2 roads available for entering and exiting the development there at the time. And with sharing, I'm glad Wayne Glen is happy to share their road, but we do want to make sure that everything is as safe as possible. especially if karst and sinkholes can develop on the roads that are there. We want to make sure that the roads on the property can accommodate all emergency vehicles that may be needed, or large fire trucks. They should have access to all sides of the homes and buildings in there, and not dependent on Old Eagle Road, Swedesford, or the road, or the Wayne Glen Road. The inner streets should be wide enough to accommodate large multiple fire trucks, ambulances, police vehicles, as well as the large garbage and recycling trucks, moving vans, delivery service vehicles, lawn care vehicles that our society seems to depend on every day, with large trucks moving in and around our communities. In addition, there should be appropriate space allocated for snow removal, which we did not have in previous developments. I did not see visitor parking, which is needed, and that should be added. And also, each home, I strongly recommend driveways and aprons have a minimum of 4 cars so they can park to accommodate guests and small parties. I know it's the laundry list, and it sounds like the developer is available to talk about things and reconsider these things, but it might be good if we put these into and make sure our zoning requirements, specific requirements, are updated. We need the school bus stop. I don't know if they're going to share the bus stop, but we do need area for school buses to come in and serve the development. I saw sidewalks in the renderings, bravo, but I felt strongly there should be walking paths to encourage a sense of community, enhance the quality of life. I heard the developer talk about there's going to be adjustments and including that. I think that's wonderful. Perhaps including a park for fresh air, relaxation, a child play area. And it's not clear whether the homes have backyards or not, but I know planning is going to address my laundry list for a lot of aspects of this, but I want to make sure that any new development are taking into consideration the quality of life issues identified in our 10-year comprehensive plan, and that every time we develop new communities, that they are the most attractive for the future and not dependent just on our old zoning requirements that were developed over the years. Thus, I think we might want to give serious consideration, if it really hasn't been done, for a new set of community requirements for this type of townhouse development. So I thank you all for your consideration of my laundry list, and if you can then adjust my two questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. The 2 questions, one specifically, in our analysis, we've identified 9 properties in the township that this zoning change would impact. George, can you speak to the active adult designation?
As to the comment about the language in the draft amendment regarding the age requirement, it is correct that, as written, it says that at least 80% of the units be occupied by at least one person 55 or older. This was the same language that the township adopted when they recently allowed this type of housing in the commercial district. However, that doesn't mean there can be school-age children. Here, there's another restriction that says occupancy by any person 18 or younger is prohibited, except as a grandchild or somebody visiting. There's a cap on how long an 18 or under child could stay there. So there is that 80% limit, but that doesn't mean there would be any school children allowed to have residency here. That would be prohibited. And this is, like I said, the similar language that was adopted in another amendment for the commercial zone.
Thank you, Carol. Any other, yeah, sure. Yeah, we're here to talk about it.
Just to reinforce Carol's point about density, it seemed to me that the pictures that were shown of the applicant's other development had a nice wide road and wide sidewalks and wide driveways up to the garage, whereas the overhead of this development seemed much more compressed than that. And I'm really concerned that squeezing 46 units on the 10 acres when, the houses around all have at least half an acre, often 3/4 of the in that general area. Seems like a bit of a squeeze, and that's something that's going to get into the final zoning amendment. So thinking about how many houses and how many acres should be really important as you move forward. So thanks.
No, thank you. Other comments from the public? Any other things from the board? Anything else you want to talk about? Thanks. I think oh, God, yeah, come on up.
This is Margaret Van Arsen. It's just a quick clarification question. You had mentioned the Art Commission and the exhibit that's being opened up for, and I don't remember the dates because...
Oh, sure, I'll announce those at the end of the meeting, I promise.
I'm sorry?
I'll announce it at the end of the meeting.
Oh, so it's not, I thought this Art Commission exhibit was coming up.
It's I think it's October 10th, but I'll make an announcement again at the end of the meeting. Right now,
Okay.
we're talking about the...
It is, David, October the 10th.
Okay, I'm sorry, wasn't sure if things were...
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. We'll make an announcement, I promise. But right now, we're trying to focus on the one development. I think that's the topic we're trying to stick to, if that's okay. Anybody else have anything? Want to talk about? Okay. Now we're going to go to new matters. We're going to citizen new matters, and I'll address your new matter first, which is the Art Commission's exhibit is going to be the 10th of October from 5 to 7 p.m.
What day in October?
The 10th.
The 10th.
From 5 to 7 in the Township Building.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. No, that's all good. Thank you. Any other citizen new matters? Yeah, come on up.
Roland Johnson, Paoli, Pennsylvania. My question is just a general question. As we come into the third quarter of the year, and we're getting close to 2026, when I'm sure you people have to look at budgets and revenues, et cetera. And I just wondering, as a general question, with all of the office buildings around for lease, for sale, I would assume, and maybe I get some information, I think a lot of the general public would be interested, is there been a great amount of people looking for tax relief on these owners of these buildings when they are not fully occupied, in some cases 50% occupied, in some cases less? And do we anticipate in 2026, because of this, a loss of revenue, and proportionally, how much would that revenue loss reflect our tax base, and what we'd have to do with that? Thank you.
And Mr. Moore, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I could talk in general terms. We did see an uptick in tax assessment appeals this year, but it's nothing, there hasn't been a huge impact, but it's definitely upticked from prior years. It's too early to say, what's going to happen for 26. We're kind of still analyzing those numbers. But I know if you saw the recent article, WISFIS is now moving into West Lakes, taking 5 office buildings in the West Lakes campus over here. They're consolidating their operations into Tredyffrin, so that's a good sign. So the market is soft for for office right now, but the impact right now, so revenues will be down slightly, but it's not going to be a major impact overall.
I'll just put it this way. I don't know how many have done it, but and I ride around here, and I would say from the smallest building to the largest, the sign is out. Even the small stores along all have for sale, for lease. And I would imagine those people certainly have loss of revenue, and if they haven't got around to it, they're certainly going to say, my property's not worth what it was before. And I think one person who was here months ago mentioned how much revenue the township receives in taxes from basically commercial use. You may have that information now. I don't know. One of the gentlemen who was at that time, I think he was a developer here, and I could be wrong on that, indicated he thought, again, not my thought, he thought there was going to be a tsunami of these things coming. And, I hope he's not right, but you would certainly see more than that than I would. But again, there isn't an office building here that is fully, and there's no way in the world, the way we have with workforces working in the office 2 days a week, et cetera. I just can't see anybody that has a lease that's coming up that's not going to look for that, but thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Mr. Clark was first, and then you, if you had some. Oh, go ahead. Oh, come on up, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Charles Corrigan. I live in Paoli. When you redistrict an area that was R1 to R1, R2, I can understand the benefits of that. But once it's redistricted, do you go back and take a look at what's happening in the district because of the redistricting? Like I'll take a block of 5 houses. Group home, rental home, business being run out of it with woodworking, machines going all the time, residential property, another group home. So here's 5 homes that aren't families that are buying the home. They're renters. So I'm just wondering, as you regroup, what is the limitation to a group home on a block? 5? The whole block? 1? 2? I just would like to know.
Yes, I don't know the specific area that you're talking about. You can live as a family group with 3, a family is considered 3 unrelated people. So I don't know if
Well, I'm not talking about the number of people in the house, because that can vary throughout the day from 2 cars to 7 cars. But the actual property, it used to be a community of residential properties where families lived there that own the home.
Yep.
Now we have people that they pass away, investor comes in, he buys the house, makes it a group home. He buys the house, he rents it out. He uses the house for a business. And then another group comes in, buys a house, makes it a group home. So at what point we're beginning to change the neighborhood from the flavor of people owning and living in the house they bought to investment properties and business uses?
So I would need more information as to the area you're talking about, but you would be allowed to live with 3 people in the home.
How many group homes are you going to allow
I
in the
don't know
neighborhood?
I haven't allowed any group homes in this area that I'm aware of. If
Hilltop Drive has 2 within 5 houses.
Where?
Hilltop Drive has 2 within 5 houses.
Where?
Hilltop Drive in Friendship Park
Okay,
has 2 within 5 houses.
okay. I mean, if you want to give me an address, I can take a look at it.
I'll give you the address.
So as far as they would, I mean, there's no requirement for rental. So if someone wants to rent their house out, there's no
I understand.
restrictions on that.
I understand.
But I'm not aware of any group homes on Hilltop.
There's 2 now.
Okay. Well, yeah, and we can talk offline if you want to.
I'll give the information.
Yeah, if you want to give me the
Yeah,
information, I can.
I'm not complaining about a group home. I appreciate the value of that.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, for the overall valuation of the community, at what point do group homes begin to impact the value of your homes? Do they level off? Do they continue to rise with the markets? Or because there's a lot of more traffic? A group home does, a regular house maybe has 2 cars, let's say. But a group home, it can have 7. There's a lot more traffic in the neighborhood. So again, I'm not complaining about the use, but changing something from R1 to R1, R2.
There was no zoning change there.
Well, then it must have always been R1, R2.
It's Hilltop is R1.
Well, R1 doesn't allow a group home, right?
Correct, and I'm not aware of any group homes there.
It's got them.
Okay, that's why we're going to talk offline and
Yes,
figure out
sir.
what it is.
All right,
Let's
thank
take it
you.
offline, and we'll find out what the situation is and see if we can resolve it.
My question is tangentially related to yours, which is, I have like a parking situation on my street.
Come up to
Come on
the
up, yeah,
mic.
come on up.
So I came because I have a parking situation on my street. I live on Mount Pleasant. It's a tight road.
Yep.
And you're only allowed to park on the east side of the road. I'm on the west side. And even when people park on the east side of the road, for me to get in and out of my driveway, I have to make like an 8-point turn. And then situations have occurred where somebody was actually getting in the car and they were there for like 10 minutes. And I am basically blocked from getting out of my driveway. I don't know if that's a similar concern to what the gentleman was elaborating on, but I think there are maybe solutions to that, like no parking in certain areas on roads and things like that, that the board could consider. Because it has caused some conflicts for me with people that live on my street, and it's one of the driving forces. As I said earlier, I was looking for other homes, single-family homes from a twin, and it's one of the driving forces where it's like an extreme headache as a resident that isn't pleasant to deal with when, we don't live in an exceptionally dense populated area, and I just think, I don't know if there's things that the board could consider doing where there are like driveways that you can't park at the opposite end of or anything like that. I don't know if that's something similar to what he was facing.
Sir?
Yeah, sorry.
So, no, that's okay. No, I hear your problem. I mean, there's a traffic committee, which is the place to take this problem.
Okay.
And I know that we have done things like I live in Chesterbrook, and I know we have done things like put up no parking signs near driveways to push people away from there. So that's
Okay.
we've done that.
Yeah, I
So-
just didn't know if it was related, and it
So the
just
traffic
hearing
committee
it.
meets Wednesday this week, right? It's Wednesday this week, what time? Yeah, so it's 7:30 a.m.
Okay,
Wednesday, here, right here.
awesome. Thank you.
Come and you bring pictures or something too, it's super helpful, they can actually see what's going on.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, good, thanks. Mr. Clark?
Just a few open space things. I was very pleased to see in the announcement about the new CFO job application that the township was expressing its commitment to open space preservation. So there are some topics on open space preservation that I wanted to bring up. Firstly, on the creek renaming thing, someone in Schuylkill or Phoenixville, someone just did that. And there's like a whole process, USGS, and they named it after an Indian, like an old Indian name that means like Winding Willow Creek or something. It's perfectly possible and it's great. So, on open space, firstly, thanks to Pat for always coming up with some way to take Open Land Conservancy's article and make it look presentable in the fall newsletter. So, and that needs to be recognized, the work that goes into putting that together. So thanks to Pat for that. And I guess now we're being told from Utah to touch some grass and get off social media. And Open Land Conservancy has an opportunity for residents to touch some grass. We are going through the next phase of our planting in our George Lorimer Preserve, Saturday, September the 27th, 9 a.m., parking lot on North Valley Road. You can get to see the spectacular impact that planting inside a deer exclosure can have on everything that grows inside that was done last year. And then think about the impact the residents could have on planting this year on like the next phase of that project. So I would encourage everybody to come out, plant some trees and shrubs Saturday, September 27th. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other citizen, new business? Sure, come on up.
Thank you for your time. There's two of us here. So I'm going to speak first. I apologize. I wrote this down. Yes, I was just going to start with that. Hi, I'm Anthony Deese, and I'm here on behalf of the residents of Berwyn Village, a community developed by John McGrath of Stonehaven Homes. And I'd like to begin by sincerely thanking the Board of Supervisors for their assistance so far to this date. That being said, I wouldn't be here this evening if those efforts had been completely successful or sufficient to bring about the necessary results. So for context, many of us, including my own family, moved into our homes in 2021. It has been now 4 years, yet the development remains incomplete. Our roads are still not fully paved, our driveways remain unfinished, and large concrete blocks sit unattended throughout the neighborhood, blocks that are a particular concern as my two young daughters play, well, many other children play nearby. Having moved from the city, I'm would be lying if I wasn't a little bit disappointed in the way things had turned out in my migration to the burbs. So to provide one current example, our landscaper, Ed Rogers, a great landscaper, has been waiting for over 2 weeks for payment from Stonehaven to finish part of the work that's needed to then progress on to the next stage. Yet progress continues at an unacceptably slow pace. It's the same cycle every time. We get, it takes 6 weeks to do 3 days worth of work, then the check doesn't come, then we wait. And as we approach another winter, we face another year without completion of the most basic tasks. Nearly all of the homes were finished in 2022, yet we still live in a construction zone, and furthermore, Stonehaven hasn't had any direct contact with the HOA board in close to 2 years. I think that McGrath has been rewarded for his brazen disrespect for the township, its policies, and its residents. This is not simply an inconvenience. I am going to wrap it up here. This is not simply an inconvenience. These delays have cost our residents tens of thousands of dollars. We've had to hire legal representation as well as a private engineer in order to compel action. In addition, we cannot complete other projects such as our sprinkler system because Stonehaven either finishes its work in time or provides us any sort of schedule as to when they are going to. So we have to pay to keep this sprinkler in sort of a holding pattern until we have the go-ahead. So getting close to the end here, I personally know other builders in the area that are observing this situation, and if they conclude that development standards in Tredyffrin and Easttown, we straddle both, are not being enforced, I really do think this will create broader and lasting challenges for the townships and all of us as residents. This is especially troubling how much time we spent this evening listening to plans for new developments, developments that could progress in a similarly chaotic manner. I guess I would ask, do these rules apply to everybody or just to the residents? So once again, thank you so much. I know I was a little bit negative here. Really, you've been amazing. The Board of Supervisors, thank you for your time and continued attention to this matter. Without your help, we would be even worse off, and we look forward to seeing meaningful action taken to ensure the timely and proper completion of our community. And now I'm going to hand it over to Dottie, who's another representative of our neighborhood.
Thank you. I'm Dottie Ives-Dewey. I live at 40 Branch Avenue, actually Anthony's neighbor. And I also want to point out we have at least one of maybe two of our neighbors on the call. Easttown is having a meeting tonight too, so we sort of split duty. We have a crew over there. And my husband would be here, but he's on sprinkler duty to try to keep our landscaping alive. And I just want to, I think Anthony did a wonderful job laying out our frustrations. I know we've come to this meeting in the past, and you've been really helpful. I don't know what you've done, but you've been really helpful in the past in getting the builder to respond. But just as Anthony says, things start and then they stop, and then they lag and lag and lag. And now we're going into the fall, still waiting for paving, and that window is probably closing for us to get that done. Some of the landscaping went in, but not the complete job, so we can't get our sprinkler running. We're waiting for street lights. One half in the neighborhood is very well lit, feels very safe at night. The other is dark. And I will say, I was not involved in the planning of the community. I am actually a professional planner by training. And part of the reason I wanted to move into the neighborhood for, all the reasons, being close to Berwyn, the walkability, the trail connection, being close to the train. And now that the sidewalk has been completed, I think what I imagine was envisioned at the time is working. It really makes a nice connection for neighbors to walk from neighborhood to neighborhood. So all of that is, really starting to take hold, but we just can't get this project completed. And so I think we're just here to continue to ask for your help. Whatever you can do, please don't release any escrow funds until until it's done. But to let us know, is there any other recourse, any other things that you can do to help us get this community completed?
I mean, Mr. Berger, you want to respond a little bit? I mean, I know you've done a tremendous amount to get even the little bit done that we have gotten done.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can first just respond, Chairman Miller, and, to the audience concerns. The township's frustrated with the developer as well in this project. I mean, he has been extremely slow on every step. He is doing work at this point, albeit very slow, we would say. We've had meetings going back to March of this year, and between Princeton Hydro, our consultant, and myself, we email him and we text, they're one person responsible numerous times every single solitary week. At this point, we just got a response from him. For the Tredyffrin side, obviously there's two townships involved, so we are focused on the Tredyffrin side and making sure that they're completing all those efforts. Some things are kind of commingled because they're kind of split at a weird line, like the line's not straight. It's not like one side of the street's Tredyffrin there. So we've been asking for updates on several things. And yes, he is very slow, but to the date, we did get completion of all the curb repairs, the concrete curb repairs. The sidewalk was completed on price. It took a long time, and yes, some of that work was supposed to be completed by May 30th. He blew by all those deadlines, but he did complete it. And we don't have control over the exact timing. It's obviously, if he's working on stuff, and he makes some progress and he stops, he's still working on it. It's just very painful for everybody involved because he's taking more time than he should. But he did get the concrete done for the curb repairs. He did get the sidewalk done after a long hiatus. And we were successful, at least in Tredyffrin, the landscaping is complete. We verified that it's complete. I know he still has a couple things outstanding in the Easttown side, because he mentioned that in a recent email. We've been asking since March for like a full schedule. He never would provide that to us. The lighting and landscaping, what we did get as of this afternoon, we had lots of emails flying around, and his staff finally answered one to say 3 weeks is his plan for starting to work on the lighting. So that's it's a current email. It was like 4 o'clock this afternoon. It came in after we basically were hitting him with multiple emails and his staff with multiple emails over the last week. And we said, he told us he was going to respond last week, and as typical, he blew by that date and didn't respond. So he said he's going to be starting also paving in the single-family side of Easttown, the single homes. He named, I forget what the name of that cul-de-sac is, but he said
the one adjacent.
The one adjacent. So he's going to start the paving on that portion while they start on the lighting on the Berwyn Village side, and then when they're done, his plan, it sounds like, is to get the paving done this year. And based on how he works schedule-wise, I would say if it's done, it will be done before Thanksgiving, hopefully, because that's how long it's going to take. It's not going to, it just realistically, this work, we went over schedule, and this could have all been done by May 30th. He's just drawing it out really slowly. It's painful for everybody. We understand. We've been trying to get this done from the Tredyffrin side. The landscaping could have been done in April or May. There's no reason why. It's 5 days worth of work. He made it into like 4 or 5 months worth of work. And he planted them in the summer when it was really hot. So it's been frustrating. We understand that. We're trying to get this complete because I think everybody wants to see a closure to this whole entire project. It's been a painful experience for everybody with this developer.
So much. You've been such a help. But I just want to verify, because you're talking about him blowing through deadlines. I'm pretty sure this is like the third set of deadlines he's blown through. I just want to make this clear that this is not someone who's just one time blew through deadlines. He blew through deadlines in 22. He blew through deadlines in 23. I'm pretty sure we've read the paperwork. There's some sort of extension he has to file every 90 days or something like that. Excuse me, I could be wrong. I apologize. But I digress back to my original point, is this is not the first set of deadlines that he's blown through. And it probably won't be the last. Yeah.
It's hard in regards to land development. It's a fine line. If the developer is working on things, if he tells us he's going to have it completed by Tuesday, he comes up with every excuse in the book. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. He's one of the worst I've ever seen since I've worked here in almost 20 years. I mean, he has steadily risen to that. But once again, he knows how to draw things out. We met with him in March, and he's done just enough to keep working on things that we can't say he's not delinquent. He has been doing work. It's just painfully slow. And it's not, as easy, you know, Easttown can speak on their behalf, but as Tredyffrin, it's not our job to do developers' work, to come in and do that. He's working, it's slow. We would all like to see him leave and not come back to the township ever again. That would be nice.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Just to be clear, I mean, you asked about, I mean, we hold his escrow money. You haven't seen it on the agenda to release any escrow to this guy. You won't see it until this is finished. And that really is the leverage we have, besides the moral suasion we have of harassing him over and over again, or asking him over and over again to perform the task he's supposed to perform. You guys have been also putting pressure on him to get it done. But that really is the situation we're in. Until he is delinquent, we can't take the escrow money and do the work ourselves. And quite honestly, is getting it done painfully slowly. And he's not somebody we would welcome back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, is that better? Okay. Just a question about the delinquency. Like, what would lead him to be delinquent? I mean, what are the...
Steve,
well, the development agreement, I don't think really, I have to go back and look and see if there was a deadline for when the work had to be done. It's as if it needs to be delinquent. He has to be given a notice and an opportunity to cure. It's always the case. And he's doing that. It's just extremely slow. If I file a lawsuit, it's going to be even slower. It's a year before I get in front of a judge, typically, and in the meantime, you want that project to continue to get done. And so, to Steve's point, it is a fine line, because that's sort of the death knell. That's the last, in my opinion, that's the absolute last resort. And as bad as this developer is, sure, it's really for the developer that's gone completely dark, is really when we do something like that.
And you understand, if we file a lawsuit, zero work's going to happen from then forward. So that, to Mr. McKenna's point, I mean, that's why we are trying to work with him as best we can, because that really is your best vehicle to get this project completed eventually. I mean, I hate to say it, and we're not happy. I mean, nobody up here likes this. I mean, I'm sure, and you know, it's even worse for you living there. But that really is the situation. I mean, he's not a great developer. No. Other public comments? Other public new business? Any supervisor new business?
David, I do have to ask one question of the young man who said he lived on Mount Pleasant. And when he was talking about the traffic, is he still there?
He is. Yeah, we suggested he goes to the traffic committee on Wednesday morning, which is the place to, parking, yes, parking. But
I understand it, but because I've been dealing with Mount Pleasant, I'm just wondering what it is that he's having. Can you do me a favor, since I'm not there? Can you just give him my number and have him call me or send me an email? Because I need to know what is his issue, because Mount Pleasant seems to be my Achilles heel.
I'll connect with him after the meeting.
Okay,
and we'll get his
I
contacts.
can reach out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll get his contact after the meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
Good, thanks. Mr. Berg, you want to just, so we've had a lot of questions about the Glen Hardy Road Bridge, which is not open. We've had a whole series of sinkholes. I think we just discovered another one today. Mr. Berger, you want to just give a quick status update on that?
Yes, certainly. Chairman Miller, members of the board, and the township leaders received several resident concerns related to this road and the closure specifically. And we just wanted to give an update that the township has experienced several sinkholes related to Glen Hardy Road in and around the stream and the bridge. This is after the turnpike has spent about 6 months or more on sinkhole remediation along the turnpike in that same area. And we can't say it's related to that, but it's not that far removed from where they were working, but we have experienced some. We did do an extensive testing and drilling and grouting of sinkholes on both sides of the bridge and stream. But unfortunately, we've had 2 additional sinkholes that have opened up. And even though the road was repaved, these are in different locations from the original ones. We have meetings with our bridge engineer coming up in the next couple days We're going to be doing some additional testing to figure out the next steps for some remediation. So the road isn't really, at this point, it's unsafe, so we have to keep the road closed until we can find and successfully remediate. And we're probably going to do a retesting after we're done that as well, just to make sure everything is good. Unfortunately, there's no real key issue with sinkholes. Sometimes as we see, they pop up in these areas. This isn't a high, density area, as we know. We talked about Wayne Glen earlier. This whole corridor has unfortunately had a history of sinkholes. So we're trying to do the best thing. We know it's inconvenient for the road to remain closed, but it is for resident and community safety. And we do want to remind that there were several references to it's been closed for 3 or 4 years. 3 years of the closure was due to the Pennsylvania Turnpike construction, not Tredyffrin Township. The bridge last year only took 4 months to construct. So we hear a lot about that, but that closure was not related to the Tredyffrin activities. They were just the turnpike. So unfortunately, that road has been closed for a long time. And it is inconvenient, but it will remain closed for at least for the immediate future until we can resolve the existing sinkholes and make it safe to open.
Yeah, and just to emphasize, this is a public safety issue. I mean, it's just not a safe road to drive on right now, and that's why it's closed, and we'll open it when it's safe, right? And that's sort of the bottom line here. Any other supervisor new business? Do I have a motion? The next meeting is Monday, October 6th. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.